What's up, y'all? I ain't talked to y'all in a little bit. Been busy. Ain't had no time. Matter of fact, right now I'm driving through Central Florida down here by Disney World, heading to Miami. Been working down here, and I've been meaning to make a video, but you know how it is. Life stays pretty busy for me. But last video I made was kind of talking about gratitude and things like that. And so I thought about this video, and I thought, what can I do? And I was talking to some friends and stuff, and a buddy of mine said, man, do your mark of the beast. Talk about that. I bet you folks want to hear about that. So today, this video will be about the mark of the beast. Now, I don't care if you're a religious person or not, you've probably heard of it. In the Bible, they talk about revelations. And before I get started on my point, I want to establish a couple of other points. One point is, you got to understand, when the Bible was written, these were written by visions that were given by God to, apostles and people who God knew would be, involved in this, because He knows everything and He sees our life in a blink of an eye. So you got to put yourself in that perspective when you're reading, because imagine you were taken back to, the day Christ was born, or the times of Christ, a long time ago. You wouldn't understand a lot of things. Some things you would because of history. We know from history books. But a lot of things you'd be seeing them from a vision, a dream, or, you see things. So you don't really get a full comprehension of what it is. Now, you got to imagine these people who wrote the Bible were, 2,000 years ago. Things of that nature. Oh, I'm sorry, my arm hurt. So they would see something from a distance, and they didn't know what things were, like imagine right now, they seen us driving down the highway at, 70 miles an hour. They'd be like, wow, they were driving iron horses, and they roared, and they moved at so fast, and they traveled on hard cobblestone built road. They didn't understand an interstate. They didn't understand how an engine works, because it wasn't invented yet. So you got to put yourself in that perspective of thinking. Now back to the original point of the mark of the beast. It says in the Bible, in the end of times, they shall receive a mark of a beast, of the beast. And my arm's tired. Sorry. So it's described as that. And if they do not receive the mark of the beast, they shall not eat without it. They shall not do anything. They shall worship the mark of the beast. And so, and a lot of people say, oh, and it says, they shall bear the mark on their head and their hand. So if you look at things in that perspective, like I discussed, you kind of have to think about things pretty in depth. And it says in the beast, it shall have a number. It'll be a human number. Its number shall be 666. Now, if you look into numerology and things of that nature, you convert over to letters, and the sixth Hebrew letter is V, which translates to W. When you say, for instance, Yahweh, a lot of people would say Yahweh. So you can look further into that and, critique what I'm telling you, because I'm just giving you a rough cover to get it where it isn't a long video. So 666, those are the same numbers. Why couldn't it have been 324, 178? Why did it have to be 666? Well, that coincides with knowledge of the W. So if W is the sixth letter, W. You understanding what I'm saying? The very first computer that we ever built that was worth recognition, Google it. I'll save you a little bit of time. It was called the Beast because it was so massive and it was such an amazing thing. So they shall wear the mark of the beast. Now you go from there and you think, well, it's got to be a microchip. It's got to be something like that. Let me go ahead and slide on over here. So you would think, Law Dog got somebody. You would think, okay. But what is our today's biggest and easiest way to access the World Wide Web? Let me inform you. It's in my hand right now. I can ask it any question and it will answer it. Google it. Everybody says it and you just take it for granted, but Google it. And Google's just one of many search engines, but I would say the most popular. And so we go from there, and let's go back to when I was speaking of how they seen something from a distance. They seen a vision sent from God, and they seen us with these devices. And you know where the only place this is good at, in your hand or against your head when you're talking on it. And it said, they shall not eat without it. A lot of people would translate that and say, well, if you don't receive the mark of the beast, you won't be able to buy food. It hasn't gotten that far yet, but we are into Samsung, Apple Pay, things of that nature, which could go further. I don't know. I'm definitely not no predictor, but I definitely do have knowledge of Scripture. And, so my theory, now, once again, I'm not a scholar. I'm just a common, dumb old redneck. But I've read a lot. And I've listened and I've watched. And I'm pretty good at putting things together. It's actually what I do for a living. So, if the World Wide Web breaks down to 666 www, same letters, coincidence? I don't think so. But that's just me. Take it how you want. But like I said, it says they shall not eat, shall not sleep. Think about it. When have you let your phone get past 10 foot away from you for more than an hour? We keep them on us at all times. It is such a vital part of our life that we lose children before we lose our phone. We actually have ads on billboards that say, put your cell phone by your child so you don't forget your child. When something becomes more... Oh, shit. Sorry. People are... I'm in Florida. They love their breaks. Anyways, so... when something becomes more important than your child, I would say you worship it. Even though, today a lot of people say, I don't worship it. I don't put it on a pedestal and get down on my knees before it and going, I love you. No, but worship is when you spend a lot of time paying attention to something. Worshiping the Lord is when you... what are y'all doing? I'm sorry, y'all. Florida's just so much fun. So... when you worship the Lord, you speak to Him, you ask Him for insight, whatever it is, So you can put a status of God status. Because, believe it or not, God actually says there are many gods. And He says there shall be false prophets. And there shall be false saviors, And the Antichrist will be one of them. The word Antichrist means the opposite of Christ. Christ came in the word of good and in forgiveness, and he was brutally murdered and crucified for us not to be wasted away and be the same thing as when Noah built the ark, washed away because we had become so obsessed with our own selves. Oh, and that's another part too. What's the biggest thing when phones come out? Selfie. Self. So I'm going to jump a little bit because I want to get back on my point. I have a tendency to, jump around and ramble a little bit, and I apologize, but that's who I am. So let's go into some more facts. So we've heard of it, the devil, Lucifer, Beelzebub, has many names. But I believe as an angel, if I'm not mistaken, his name was Lucifer. And don't forget, Satan was a beautiful angel. But you have to get into the point of, everybody thinks these angels are cherubs and beautiful little chubby babies with wings, and I'm sorry, they're not. They are fearsome creatures. And I mean that with every bit I am. Because you see in the Bible when an angel would come down, first thing he would say to the people, they were terrified. And he'd say, "Fear not. I come with the word of the Lord." Why would he start the sentence with "fear not"? Because they were fearsome. They are God's fighting forces. So, remember, Lucifer was a beautiful angel at one time, but a fearsome. And unfortunately, his downfall was vanity. And I think he thought he was more beautiful and better than God. Even though he was God's right-hand man, he was more fearsome, he thought. He was more beautiful. And in doing so, he tried to turn angels against God. And heaven was divided, and Lucifer was cast from heaven to earth. Some people think he's down in hell. No, sorry, he's here. He's everywhere you look, if you look close enough. Just like God is. God is omnipotent, omnipresent. So, there's that. But Lucifer will use, everything he does is based on what God said not to do. So, back to the phone. If you coincide the first sin we ever committed against God before we were created, it was just Adam and Eve. There was Adam, and then God took a rib and he made Eve. Well, excuse me. And we all know the story, right? What did Eve do? She listened to the serpent. The serpent, unfortunately, is another deity of another. We'll get into that another time. But the serpent said, Eve, God said don't eat that apple. Don't eat the forbidden fruit. He said anything else. You can have everything in the world. You can eat a pine tree. I don't care. But just don't eat that. One thing out of the whole Garden of Eden, the area of perfection where we felt no pain. And it said, we were naked, but we did not know we were naked. Because we didn't look at each other that way. We had clean eyes. We didn't look and say, oh, look at his penis, look at his whatever, look at her vagina, look at her titties. No, we had clean eyes then. But unfortunately, the serpent whispered, Eve, if you eat that apple, God told you shall surely die. And he wasn't lying, because she died a spiritual death, not a physical death. Because that is the worst death to die. Physical death isn't, you leave this body, but you still have a chance to go to heaven and remain and carry on for all of eternity. And all this stuff we buy and we sell and trade and people are ugly to us and we hate, that's all gone. All of it. I swear on my soul. So back to this. So he said to her, yes, you shall have your eyes opened. You shall have the knowledge of God if you eat that apple. And Eve ate it, and her eyes were opened, and she died a spiritual death. She was no longer pure in God's eyes. And she talked to Adam and said, Adam, eat that. Eat it with me. Go down this road with me. And Adam loved Eve, and he said, okay, if that's what you say. I trust you and I love you. You'd never do me no harm. Well, Adam died a spiritual death. And God created Adam first, so I'm still choking on that apple. And I am described as son of man. Man meaning Adam, son of Adam. That's why men have Adam apple. Because we're still choking on that bite of apple. On our spiritual death. So that was our first sin that we ever committed against God. And I always find this is the best part of my story. Those of you who are more, socially trendy, you gotta have what's next, what's new, what's on the outside of your phone. And why does it have a bite out of it? Because Lucifer loves to brag. He loves to say, look what I've got. They love the mark of the beast. They love it with everything they are. They can't even leave it alone for 4 or 5 minutes. I'm making a video on it right now. We don't even know where we're going anymore in life because we're always looking at our phone. Driving down the highway. If you don't have navigation, what do you use? Your phone. So it guides you. Isn't that what God does? A little different, but a lot the same. So, the mark of the beast. Satan is so arrogant that he put it on his favorite device, the Apple phone. And why did it just not have an apple? Why did it have an apple with a bite out of it? Come on. You're smart. Do some research. It might change your whole life. So, next time you pick up your mark of the beast and you connect to the World Wide Web and you do a selfie or you get on Facebook and tell everybody your drama, make fun of people, be hateful, cyberbullying. Oh, but it shows me beautiful pictures. Like I said, Lucifer was beautiful at one time. The most beautiful angel God had, and his best right hand. So, I love you all, because that's what I'm taught to do. I don't care if you're a Christian or a Satanist. I still love you. And all I can do is pray for you and love you. So I want to share this with you. And if it does nothing more than give you a good story to listen to, I wish it would do more. I wish it would open your eyes and make you see things that you don't see. Because I'll tell you this, you can't deny it anymore. The Bible is being played out right in front of us. And nobody acts like it.